Webex. Participants can join us by phone or by computer during the meeting. There will be opportunities for public comments for those attending in person or online. When the president opens a public comment period, those attending in person may step forward to one of the two podiums and be recognized. If you are joining us by phone and wish to comment, please press star 3, which will raise your electronic hand. Our operator will identify you and bring you into the meeting. Pressing star 6 will mute and unmute your line. If you're online, you can see a hand or microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. Please use those at appropriate times. We ask guests to begin public comments by stating their name and address for the record. The county attorney will administer an oath of affirmation to anyone giving testimony during the public hearing. We ask the public comments relate to the subject announced by the president. In addition to public hearings, there are 2 public comment periods, one at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items and one near at the end of the meeting for general comments. This meeting is being recorded and will follow the rules and procedures adopted by the Levy Court, as well as the Mason's Rules of Order. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask Commissioner Maston to lead us in the invocation. Commissioner Hertz lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Bob Scott will lead us in the moment of silence for our troops and first responders. All rise, please.
God, I pray that you would bless us with your divine wisdom so that we can make decisions with understanding and humility. Amen.
If we could have a moment of silence for all of our troops, first responders, military, police, etc. Thank you.
Ms. Tanaka, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Present.
Mr. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Hertz?
Here.
Mrs. Maston?
Present.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mr. Sweeney? Absent. Mr. Pepper?
Here.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. As stated before, Commissioner Sweeney is representing Levy Court at a function this evening. Prior to the motion for adoption of the agenda, I need to amend the agenda and remove LC 24-31 from public hearings. It was under Commissioner Maston. Need to remove it. It'll be brought back at a later date. And now I need a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
As amended.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions from anyone? If not, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney? Absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. The motion passed by Levy Court. Consent agenda 24-09.
Move to approve consent agenda 2409.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Maston, second by Commissioner Angel. Any questions? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney? Absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. At this time in the agenda, we allow for public comments on any agenda items that are not covered under a public hearing. Since there's no one in the chambers that I see, Mark, does anyone online have any comments on anything other than what's on the agenda?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to make public comments at this time, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing star 3 if you're joining us by telephone. I see no hands raised online at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to public hearings. And the first one is Kent County Sewage Disposal District 1 Extension Proposal Resolution. Falls under Commissioner Hertz, Resolution 4075. And I see our county engineer is here to help us through with this.
So tonight is a public hearing, and Levy Court will offer the opportunity to speak for or against this resolution. Tonight, they'll make a decision based on the testimony heard and presented. And with that, I'll move into a summary of the resolution before us. We have a resolution presenting a sewer extension for 3 properties. One is in the Double Run area. Both properties are owned by the Colettes, and we're looking at 2 EDUs. This property was presented to Sewer Advisory Board to review for sewer extension, and they supported the motion. Would you please move to the next map, please? The next map is for a property in the Hartley area. The property is a larger farm property, and what has been proposed is to extend an area for the sewer district just around the farmhouse itself. The farmhouse has a cesspool, so it's a non-conforming system on the site, and sewer runs in front of the property. They will need a grinder pump to connect. Because this is part of the Hartley district, Hartley area, there was a funding commitment and a requirement that this be reviewed for any extensions by the State Planning Office and by DENREC. So with this proposal, it was presented to both DENREC and State Planning Office, and they've concurred in the extension. This was presented to Sewer Advisory Board, and Sewer Advisory Board also supported the extension. Back to you.
Any questions?
Seeing no questions, at this time, this is a public hearing. So I'll open the public hearing on Resolution 4075, and I'll ask anyone online. There is no one from the public in our chambers. Mark, anyone online like to make any comments on this?
If there's anyone joining us online who would like to speak in favor of these applications, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised, Mr. President.
Okay, seeing no hands raised for testimony on Resolution 4075, I'll ask any of the commissioners, do they have any questions before I close the public hearing? Seeing none, at this time, I'll close the public hearing and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Hertz for a motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I make a motion to approve Resolution 4075, a resolution upon a proposal to extend Kent County Sewer District Number 1 pursuant to Section 4606, Chapter 46, Title 9 of the Delaware Code as amended, various areas, Hartley and Double Run areas.
Second.
Thank you. Motion to approve by Commissioner Hertz, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Mr. Tanaka, can we have roll call, please?
Ms. Strangel?
Yes, reason stated by Commissioner Hertz and Ms. Galt.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, for all reasons stated.
Mr. Sweeney, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 4075 has been approved by Levy Court. The next item, ordinance LC 24-31, was removed earlier. That'll conclude our public hearings. No old business, new business, which are potential action items from our previous workshop. The first item on the agenda falls under, first 2 items on the agenda fall under Commissioner Scott, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item will be in reference to the hazards mitigation plan. I make a motion to approve the proposal from VPC, Vision Planning and Consulting, for the successful revision of our all hazards mitigation plan. Total cost of this project is $60,000.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Scott to approve, which was second by Commissioner Masson. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Mr. Naka, give me a roll call, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed by Levy Court. Item number 2, Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. The public safety has been trying to do a really good job with switching vehicles out and rotating them so we don't have such a heavy call stall at one time. And with that, I would make a motion to approve the purchase of 3 2025 Chevy SSV package Tahoes per the attached quote in the amount of $156,372 through Hertridge Fleet Services, and to approve the issuance of the purchase order.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Scott to approve, second by Commissioner Masson. Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed by Levy Court. Moving on to Commissioner Hertz. You have one item there.
Yeah, we're looking to approve adding 650 feet to a current project that we're doing with DelDOT over in Camden. We're going to pay for this one, though. It's going to replace 650 feet of pipe that we've had trouble with in the past. So I move to authorize the Levy Court President to sign the DelDOT letter agreement for the Sandy Hill force main replacement.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Scott to approve, motion by Commissioner Hertz to approve, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals motion passed. Mr. Masson, you have an introduction, three introductions.
Introduction of ordinance LC 24-32, stormwater maintenance district fees, and ordinance to amend Kent County Code Volume 2, Chapter 187, subdivision and land development, as amended by revising Articles 17, supplementary regulations, Section 187-90.4, stormwater maintenance districts, to clarify that the annual fee shall be established, Chapter 128, fees, and incorporated into the annual budget for public hearing on Tuesday, December 17, 2024 at 7 p.m.
Second.
Introduction of ordinance LC 24-33, solar facilities, decommissioning estimates, an ordinance to amend Kent County Volume 2, Chapter 205, zoning as amended by revising Article 6, conditions of approval, Sections 205-73, other uses, to add a requirement for third-party review of solar and wind facility decommissioning cost estimates, for public hearing on Tuesday, December 17, 2024 at 7 p.m. Introduction of ordinance LC 24-35, area and bulk regulations inside the growth zone. An ordinance to amend Kent County Code Volume 2, Chapter 205, zoning as amended by revising Article 5, permitted uses, Section 205-53, permitted use table and Area 7, area and bulk requirements, Section 205-81, residential principal structures within growth zone overlay district in order to permit duplexes in the AC and AR zoning districts, townhouses in the RS1 zoning district, reduce minimum lot size, frontage, and setback requirements, eliminate impervious cover minimums, eliminate the 5-acre minimum lot size for multifamily and manufactured home development, and increase density by half a unit per acre in the AC, AR, and RS1 zoning districts inside the growth zone overlay district for public hearing on Tuesday, December 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
Okay, that's the end of our action items from the workshop, and now we have another introduction. Commissioner Master.
Introduction of ordinance LC 24-34, an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan map designation and the official zoning map of Kent County, Delaware, pursuant to the provisions of Kent County Code, Volume 2, Chapter 205, Zoning, Article 3, Section 205-8, and Section 205-9, and Article 28, changes and amendments effective December 1st, 2000, as amended, for public hearing on Tuesday, December 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Other business, Commissioner Angel?
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to go into executive session immediately following the business meeting for preliminary discussion on site acquisition for a publicly funded capital improvement, legal strategy session regarding collective bargaining, or pending or potential litigation, and personal matters pursuant to 29 Dell Code 10004 B2, 4, and 9.
That is a motion.
Second?
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals. We will have a short executive session immediately following this meeting, and when we will not be coming back to the Levy Court Chambers. Any information items from any commissioners?
Mr. President, I'd like to remind everybody that Friday, Harrington Senior Center has its ribbon cutting at 10 a.m.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Angel?
Yes, well, President Pepper, myself, Commissioner Maston, and Sweeney were at the Veterans Day function here in this chambers, as well as we listened to the 89-year-old doctor from Vietnam that gave a rendition of what he went through, lived through, and what actually took place during that time frame, and it was an enlightening experience to hear him speak. And he's here, he's practiced in Delaware, in Wilmington. And the one thing that he caught our attention on was because he had all this experience in the field. When he was up there going through the program, they didn't think he had enough experience to do something until a thoracic patient had an issue. And then after he fixed that issue real quick, he was never called on again. He had the experience. So, that's what I've always said about our military. Sometimes I would rather have somebody that's been in the field to save a life than have a doctor waiting on, not sure what's going to happen. So it was a very good experience for all of us.
Yeah, it was a very nice program. The doctor was very humble, and he was a hero. He would get on the dust-off choppers and go out and pick up the wounded, which he was criticized for and reprimanded for from his superiors, but he kept on doing it and saving lives as they were being flown back to the hospital. So, very humble guy, very enjoyable listening to him. And we, as you all know, we allowed the veterans to use this chambers because it was supposed to rain on yesterday, and of course it was a beautiful day, but as it turned out, it worked out pretty good because they had a little PowerPoint here. And and the house was packed. So it was a good event, and we were mentioned several times by the veterans, and they stated that we always have their back, and they thanked us for that, and we were all recognized. So that was nice, very nice. Okay, any other information items? Any public comments? Any public comments, Mark?
If we have public comments from those joining us online, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing star 3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioner comments? Any commissioner? Commissioner Angel?
Just one. Are we having leadership tomorrow, sir? 4 o'clock? Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Seeing none, we will adjourn to the executive session, short executive session, and we will not be returning.